Formula One misses Sebastian Vettel, no doubt about it. But is a comeback from the German really what we need right now? Plenty of people don't think so. Damon Hill, the 1996 F1 world champion, expressed his views on Sebastian Vettel's potential return to the sport. He mentioned that as a team boss he wouldn't choose Vettel as a driver due to his belief that the four-time world champion may have passed his peak performance. Vettel decided to step away from Formula One at the end of the 2022 season. After a successful stint with Aston Martin following his time at Ferrari, he chose to retire, citing a desire to prioritise spending time with his young family at the age of 35. After stepping away from motorsport to prioritise family time, Sebastian Vettel's name has resurfaced in talks about a comeback. Speculation suggests he might join Mercedes, possibly replacing Lewis Hamilton as the seven-time world champion heads to Ferrari. Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff is reportedly eyeing a big signing. Sebastian Vettel made a notable return to racing by testing a Penske Porsche, signalling a potential entry into the prestigious Le Mans race. His involvement comes as Porsche deliberates on their third car driver lineup. Amidst this, Vettel has been active in promoting a new energy drink called Purple, in which he's invested as an ambassador. During interviews, he mentioned that a return to Formula One could be interesting, although not everyone shares this optimism, including Damon Hill. During the Japanese Grand Prix weekend, the 1996 F1 world champion shared his thoughts on Sky F1, expressing hesitance about signing Sebastian Vettel due to his recent form in the latter stages of his career. Hill's comments were made during the F1 show where he said, "He did burn very brightly for a very intense period and then something happened. It petered out and it bumped along. I never really saw that form afterward of the youthful Vettel that was dominant. He was great at the beginning of his career, and then when it got difficult at Ferrari and stuff like that, it just sort of became like a labour. So would you, as a team boss, take a chance on him rediscovering his form? I wouldn't, frankly." Craig Slater from Sky had a different perspective from Damon Hill, suggesting that Sebastian Vettel could spend a year at Mercedes before potentially making a sensational move to Audi when they enter the Formula One grid in 2026. Slater expressed this view, countering Hill's sentiments. "He's got the profile, he's got the expertise. Audi wants to launch with fanfare, he'd be a figurehead for them. If there is a stopgap idea in Toto Wolff's head before Kimi Antonelli comes along, what better stopgap to have?" Vettel has indeed confirmed that he had discussions with Toto Wolff, although the nature of their conversations didn't specifically revolve around the open seat next to George Russell at Mercedes. "I'm speaking to Toto. I don't know if it qualifies as Mercedes, but about other things. You know, there's ideas that I have, events that I'm planning going forward. So I did speak to a lot of other team principals as well, and not only about racing. During the week of the Japanese Grand Prix, Sebastian Vettel talked about the possibility of returning to Formula One, indicating that he might have retired prematurely from the sport. He mentioned this during an interview on the Chris Moyles show on Radio X. The better the car, the better the team, the more exciting it is in terms of, having the prospect of being successful. It is obviously, I'm following the sport, I see what's going on, and it might be appealing and interesting, but it really depends on the full package. Because it is a big commitment as well, with all the other stuff going on outside the driving activity. So to seriously consider, I think it would very much, of course, depend on the package." Seemingly referring to older drivers like Fernando, Alonso and Lewis Hamilton still actively racing and signing new deals, Vettel said, "From an age point of view, I feel bloody young with all the guys that I was raised with still hanging around and signing big contracts, being around for longer. It looks like I could have another 10 years in the sport." George Russell has commented on the potential return of Sebastian Vettel to Formula One, expressing his belief that the four-time drivers' champion is missed in the sport. Russell's remarks come amidst rumours linking Vettel to the vacant seat alongside him at Mercedes for the upcoming season. With Lewis Hamilton heading to Ferrari for the 2025 Formula One season, the seat alongside George Russell at Mercedes has become one of the most fiercely contested positions in this year's driver market. Various names have surfaced as potential suitors for Mercedes, including Fernando Alonso, Carlos Sainz, F2 rookie and Mercedes Junior Kimi Antonelli, and even Max Verstappen if he opts to depart from Red Bull. In recent weeks, Sebastian Vettel has emerged as another potential option for the vacant seat alongside George Russell at Mercedes next season. When asked how he would feel about teaming up with Vettel at Mercedes, George Russell addressed the media. He said, "Sebastian's a great person and he's a four-time world champion. For sure his personality is missed on the grid, and I think it's important that we have the best 20 drivers in the world all competing for race wins and championships." Toto Wolff has acknowledged the potential return of Sebastian Vettel to Formula One with Mercedes, noting that Vettel is a contender who should not be overlooked. Despite Vettel's retirement at the end of the 2022 season, his impressive record of 4 drivers' titles and 53 race wins makes him a highly decorated option for the Mercedes team. But amidst the speculation surrounding various potential replacements for Lewis Hamilton, George Russell is staying focused and not getting caught up in the rumours. "I'm really happy and open to have anybody as my teammate," the 26-year-old commented. "Whether it's world champion, whether it's a rookie, it doesn't change how I go about my business. And as I said before, we'd welcome anybody." Aston Martin driver Fernando Alonso, whose contract is set to expire at the end of the current season, has turned down the idea of joining Mercedes alongside George Russell for next year. He mentioned that the prospect doesn't seem appealing since Mercedes is currently trailing behind Aston Martin. Additionally, Alonso revealed his future plans and whether he would consider staying with Aston Martin beyond 2024. Fernando Alonso has mentioned that he needs some time to think about his future. He's considering the demanding schedule of Formula One and balancing it with the desire to explore other opportunities in motorsport that would allow him more time with his family. Fernando Alonso's primary focus is on the ongoing 2024 Formula One season, highlighting Aston Martin's noticeable improvement compared to its performance at the end of the previous season. However, with more than half of the F1 grid's contracts expiring this year, teams are actively scouting for potential drivers for future negotiations. Recent speculation suggests that Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff engaged in discussions with Fernando Alonso amid the search for a Lewis Hamilton replacement. However, Alonso's remarks in Japan indicate his lack of interest in joining the Mercedes team. When asked by Sky Sports F1 if he would be making a phone call to Toto Wolff after beating both Mercedes drivers and claiming 6th place at Suzuka, Alonso's response was, "That's a very good question, but yeah, Mercedes is behind now, so it doesn't feel that attractive." After ruling out Mercedes for 2025, Alonso was then questioned about whether he had made progress in deciding whether to continue his journey in Formula One. He said, "It goes either way. I had a lot of fun, which is great to keep on racing. I had one of my best weekends ever in driving, but I am 44 seconds behind the leader, so it doesn't feel that attractive at the same time, so let's see." If Alonso chooses to continue racing in Formula One, his first step would be to start discussions with Aston Martin, a team that has already shown interest in continuing with the 2-time world champion. "This is a decision that I need to do with myself. I need to think and I need to commit to a team eventually, and make sure that I understand that the next few years of my life, it will be that team and 100% of my time. Once I do that decision, I want to sit with Aston Martin and say, okay, I make this decision, and I would love to continue with this project. Because I think we did a good step forward in the last year. We built a lot of things together. We have this new facility here. We have everything to succeed for the future, and I trust this project. So that will be my first priority when I say that I want to speak first with Aston Martin, because I feel part of this project very much. But if we cannot reach an agreement and I want to commit to race in Formula One, I know that I have a privileged position. I'm probably attractive to other teams. The performance that they saw last year, the commitment, and as I said, you know there are only 3 world champions on the grid, and there is only one available. Sky Sports F1's Martin Brundle has labelled Mercedes' correlation issues as very concerning. Following a disappointing Japanese Grand Prix, Mercedes experienced their poorest performance at Suzuka in over 10 years, with George Russell finishing 7th and Lewis Hamilton 2 places behind in 9th. Hamilton has not achieved a finish higher than 6th in the first 4 races of the season, marking the first time in his 17-year Formula One career. After the red flag caused by Daniel Ricciardo and Alex Albon's crash at Suzuka, Mercedes initially opted for a one-stop race strategy. However, they faced difficulties as their performance declined and their tyre wear was not sufficient. The team has acknowledged that the data and outcomes observed in the wind tunnel have not translated effectively onto the racetrack. They've got to understand this car, and I think that's a grave concern for all of the people there, said Brundle on the latest episode of the Sky Sports F1 podcast. There's a lot of very clever people, with a huge amount of resource, performance tools and budget. I'm not going to try and second-guess what's wrong with it, or state what I think is wrong with it, because if they don't know, then I certainly don't know. Is Sebastian Vettel the answer to Mercedes' woes, or are they just distracting themselves with a meaningless issue? Tell us what you think in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.